Redick. His Lakers down 0-1.
JJ, you went into the second quarter up 7. What did you see flip in the game at that point?
They were able to get the start of their run was transition and a second chance. And if you look sort of at the effort offense areas for them, they ended up at 25 fast break points, which that's always skewed by the counter, so it's more than that, and 23 second chance points. So, the schematics wise in the half court, we'll take a look at everything and see what we want to tweak and all that. That's hard to overcome, particularly when a team is shooting like they were shooting tonight.
With that said, that you got to go and look at it. They hit 21 threes. How many of those did you feel like were ones that you kind of have to live with to wall up the paint versus ones that you would have liked to see contested differently?
Yeah, I mean, I have to go look back at everyone, but I know a number of those were in transition and off offensive rebounds.
JJ, Luka was able to get off to such a good start scoring the basketball, but I think he finished with only a single assist. What were they doing to kind of limit his playmaking opportunities, and what did you see on that front when it came to the other guys, particularly early in the first half?
A lot of it was just the coverage scheme they had, not really playing Gobert his normal minutes, and then some late reds, some late veers with him when he was in coverage. Then they had their 1 through 5 switching group in. So just in terms of like the 2 on the basketball, the blitzes, the 4 on 3s, just not there. I mean, I think that was expected on our side. But again, we'll look at the film and see what we can do better.
JJ, so much of your to your right, so much of your mantra this year has been effort defensively. It just wasn't there at the beginning of the second and the beginning of the third. Any thoughts on why that was, or were they doing something different to offset it?
No, I don't. Again, they're a great opponent. They're one of the best teams in basketball. There's, I think, it's not to say our guys weren't like ready to withstand like a playoff level basketball game. We were mentally ready. I thought our spirit was right. I thought even when they made runs, our huddles were great. The communication was great. I'm not sure physically we were ready, if that makes sense. And really, when they started playing with a lot of thrust and physicality, like we just didn't respond immediately to that. And then that stretch from the start of the second through 4 or 5 minutes to go in the third, we lost that stretch by 34. So that's a blowout.
You mentioned the physicality, and all week as we discussed with you this series, we knew that they're going to have a size advantage in certain matchups. How did you feel like that affected Austin Reaves early on, and do you feel like he was able to find some counters to deal with that as the game went on?
Yeah, I thought he did a good job as the game went on. Again, there's sometimes the early onslaught from Luka, it's just like easy offense, and he's making shots and getting downhill. The first possession he drives on Gobert, and then he's hitting threes, and that's really good offense for us. And some of the other guys may not touch the ball for stretches. I thought there wasn't necessarily like forced actions. He missed a little bunny at the paint. LeBron missed 2 open threes. We had a Rui open 3. That was all at the end of the first, start of the second. And look, it's just natural again. Sometimes the missed shots can affect the defense. There was a couple misses at the rim that then led to those transition buckets where, we had a man down, them playing 5-on-4 or 3-on-2. So we could be a lot better on offense and defense.
JJ, similarly with LeBron, he got off to a slow start before it felt like he found his footing more so in the second half. What did you see with him and how they were defending him?
They're obviously switching his pick and rolls with Gobert. And I thought we can we got a few good stuff, just trying to get Conley involved with him on the ball. Probably got to do a better job of mixing in some off-ball actions for LeBron. There was a few plays, we had sort of called or drawn up, and they went zone nearly every time we ran an ATO. We'll do better with that.
You referenced some of the mistakes you guys had. Only 10 points in the paint at halftime, finished with 32. How much of that was just simply guys missing shots they would normally make versus something Minnesota?
Well, I mean, Gobert and McDaniels make it tough. We were 1 for 7 at the rim. I mean, that's not necessarily the expected PPP on that. So we can be better. We were 7 for 20 on twos in the first half, but some of those were non-paint twos. So again, just they're going to try to make you take those shots, and they're going to try to make you finish over length. I thought there were times we did a good job with spacing Gobert, but again, if he's on the ball and you're driving him, it's a tough finish.
Trail 1-0 after a 117-95 loss.
But what did you see in that second quarter to start it, where the game kind of flipped in Minnesota's direction after you guys came out and had a somewhat typical first quarter for you?
They went on a run to start the quarter, and we couldn't find a way to get a bucket, and felt like that affected us on both ends. So you're not going to be perfect in the game. You got to figure out ways to play through those situations. And, to be honest, I have to be better at the start of the quarter, which I wasn't. And it resulted in them taking a lead and kind of just having all the momentum from there.
It's a team that you hadn't seen, in full since you guys got your team in full after the trade deadline. What did you notice about them today that was, whether it was similar or different to film, and about what you can take out of this game into game two?
I mean, they're going to play hard every single possession. Offensively, defensively, they're going to be physical, and we have to do a better job defensive rebounding. We gave up too many, second chance points, and then we got to, get back. We can't give up transition points either. So we'll watch the film tomorrow and figure out ways we can be better.
Austin, some of your guys' defensive success this season was deciding what threes you're going to live with and allow. Do you think that game plan had anything to do with their great shooting night from the outside tonight?
No, I think, to start that third quarter, I think they made 3 or 4 in a row, basically all uncontested, and regardless of what the game plan is, you don't want to give up those. We play in the NBA, and regardless of what percentage you shoot, if you have a practice shot, you have an opportunity to make it. So, like I said, we'll watch the film and get better.
Austin, you had a quiet first half by your standards, and then you started to look more comfortable, I'd say, in the third quarter. Like, what did you feel like shifted in the second half for you, and then how would you assess the first half?
Bad.